What do you have to do in order to build wealth, in order to get rich? What do you need to do? You need to keep more of your money, right? So in order for you to keep more of your money, you need to get on the right side of the tax code.
Yes, ma'am.
So therefore, you need to become a business owner. Once you have that revenue or that profit, what do you do? What do you start to do? Then you start to invest, whether that's stocks, whether that is real estate. You now can start generating that passive income because it's a cycle. And it's all embedded in the tax code. I tell everyone, if you follow the tax code, that's your pathway to getting rich, your pathway to leaving a legacy.
Hey business owners, what if I helped you get access to $50,000 in business funding for $1 a day? Would you be interested? Inside of my credit mastery community, you're going to be getting exclusive access to our in-depth training program that's worth tens of thousands of dollars to give you the exact strategies you need on how to restore your credit and on how to properly structure your business. You're also going to be getting access to a financial consultant with over a decade of experience in the funding space that'll help you reach your financial goals in half the time it would take if you were to do it on your own. And we're going to be giving you 2 coaching calls every week that'll give you the exact banks you need to go to get access to $50,000 to $100,000 in business funding. This is the same community that helped Pat get access to $50,000 in funding from Chase, help Alvin get access to $8,000 in funding from Amex, help Matt boost his personal credit score by 150 points, and help Donna delete a bankruptcy from her credit report. So if you're interested, click the link above or below this video to join now, and we'll see you on the other side of success. Let's go, family.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Marvin Francois Show, your number one source for all things business, finance, and investing. And today is a very special day because our guest today is a CPA, investor, entrepreneur, mentor, personal and business tax expert extraordinaire, and the queen of the tax code. She's the CEO of Brooks Alliance, a tax firm responsible for helping investors and entrepreneurs alike from all across the country save well over $100 million in taxes while working to close the wealth gap between Black and brown communities through the power of financial literacy. Whether she's hosting virtual masterclasses in front of hundreds, leveraging her nearly 2 decades of experience in tax preparation to educate, or speaking on stage in front of thousands about the importance of tax strategy, our guest's mission remains the same: to make your understanding of taxes easier than it's ever been so that your IRS fears don't keep you from multiple 6 to 7 figure years. And today, she's here to do more of the same. Ladies and gentlemen, from Brooklyn, New York, I'm here with the one, the only, Shaquana Brooks, better known as Ms. Business. How are you?
Hello. Well, that was an amazing intro. Let's give it up to you.
I appreciate it. Listen,
most people try to read my bio off my website. That was great.
I had to, when you have tax royalty, entrepreneurial royalty coming in, you got to roll out the red carpet, or you might as well just not show up at all.
This is true.
Yes.
Thank you.
Most definitely. Happy to have you on. How are you?
I'm amazing.
Awesome.
I am amazing. It's tax season.
It is.
Listen.
And this episode is very well timed. I actually forgot that it's tax season, so we're going to get into it here today. Appreciate you coming on. This episode has been a long time coming. I've been following you for some time. The information you provide is invaluable. Your impact is, uncomparable. And to have you on here, it's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a really good time.
Listen, I'm ready.
Listen, let's do it.
I already know that you're coming with it based on the intro.
Have to. It's an absolute must.
You did your research.
I have to. Absolutely. So before, I did an okay job introducing you.
No, you did an amazing job.
I'll take it. I'll take it. But obviously, no one knows Shaquana Brooks better than the woman herself. So for those who are unfamiliar, let's get them familiar. Who exactly is Miss Business?
Oh, who exactly is Miss Business? Outside of all the things you've already mentioned, Miss Business is super passionate about helping all clients, anyone that I interact with, just advance to that next level. So whether that's taxes, whether that's business, my goal, and what most people tell me is, oh my God, you're so genuine. Like, we don't encounter, people like you. And I think it's a little bit of my New York, my little Brooklyn in me, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to you like it is.
Right.
So super genuine, super passionate, love business, started working at the age of 6. I don't know if you knew that.
I did.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know that?
I did my research. We're about to get into it right now.
Who told you that?
I did my research.
But I started working at the age of 6. So it's almost time for me to retire.
Hilarious.
I am a lifestyle girl. Like, I just love to live my life. I love to make people happy. I love to help. I really just like to show up. I just like to show up and Yeah, that's me outside of all the things that you've listed. I don't know. We'll get more into it.
Well,
I'm not much of a bragger, so you have to like really pull it out of me.
let's see if I could do a decent enough job of it
Okay.
because, like you said, you're very established in your space, but you've had a very extensive journey to get here that goes as far back as, like you said, to when you were 6 years old. So let's go back to age 6, right?
Okay.
From what I understand, your earliest memory of entrepreneurship, you're 6 years old. You're working at your father's restaurant,
Okay.
Soul Food Caterers, 88 Kingston Ave in Brooklyn, right?
This guy is crazy.
What do you remember about that point in time in your life?
I remember just being a daddy's girl and just wanting to be around my dad. And being around my dad included me just having spending time with him. Yes, but then also working. Like my dad is always like, oh, he's going to put everyone to work. And anyone that works for me, they're like, oh my God, she's like putting me to work. Like I'm going to make you work. So my earliest memory there is just being in my dad's restaurant and just being fed, which is why I'm in love with food to this day. Like the way to my heart is like feeding me. Like you have to feed me. And so I just remember just being there, and every single summer my dad would start a new business for me. So one year it may be hard ice cream, another year it may be soft ice cream, another year it may be a lemonade or iced tea. And so every single year before the summer came, it was like, okay, so what are we doing? What are we doing this year? And I didn't realize how much of an impact that had on me. But when I'm sure we'll get there, but when it was time for me to start my business, I didn't have fear. I wasn't like, oh my God, I have to start a business. I was already familiar. I had been in business my entire life. Seen it. I seen the ups. I seen the downs. So yeah, I did everything. I did condiments. I took orders. Like I literally was like 10 years old, like taking delivery orders.
Crazy.
Like my dad would like stick me in the corner, like here. And he's more of a, I'm gonna tell you how to do this one time, and you better pick this up. Don't really ask me to how to do it again. So he picked it up, and not necessarily that he didn't want to, but he was busy himself.
Yeah.
So it's like, listen, I'm gonna tell you what to do. This is what you do. So that's why when someone tells me what to do, or I'm on it. Like you only got to tell me one time. I got it. And
you talked about through working with your dad, it kind of removed the sense of fear that I think surround a lot of people may deal with coming into entrepreneurship. Were there any other key lessons you learned from working with your dad that you still carry in how you operate to business now?
Oh, I just give everything my all. Like my dad gave everything his all. And he wasn't afraid to pivot, and he wasn't afraid to do new things. So when I was younger, I remember my dad having 8 restaurants in Brooklyn. Like everywhere I would go, there was a restaurant there. So I think that those are like the biggest things that I took away, because I feel like in entrepreneurship, you have to be able to pivot.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing where people are so stuck in what they are used to on a day-to-day that it becomes difficult for them to really succeed, because they want to stay stuck. They want to master something and stay stuck there. So
I love it.
I think that was like a big thing.
So even though you got exposed to entrepreneurship as early as you did, from working with your dad in his restaurants, age 6, you're running around, taking orders, doing all these different things. You didn't just jump straight into your own business right then and there. There was a little bit of a journey in between, right? So fast forward a bit, you're in school now, college, and the goal is, okay, I'm going to become an anesthesiologist. What did that time in your life look like?
So I was trying to figure out what it was that I wanted to do. So I am a person, I do my research, and I am very I'm a person that's going to focus on like, okay, what do I need to do to get some capital so then I can do everything else that I want to do?
Yeah.
And so at the time I was trying to figure out, I was like, I took a biology class. It was, at that point I was doing like business management. I don't no shade to anybody that does business management or like business administration, right? But I felt that I needed a focus, accounting, finance, something very concrete that when I left school, I would be able to get a job.
Yeah.
I always knew I loved business. The goal was to leave and go back and like potentially run my dad's restaurants, but I was like, yeah, no.
Wasn't for
It
you.
wasn't for me because like I was in a fire in his restaurant, so I was just like,
Wow.
no, I want a different life. I want a different life. And then restaurant business is hard.
Very hard.
So when I took the biology class, I was like, wow, this is interesting. I became fascinated with understanding how the body worked. And of course, when I'm in biology class, I'm encountering a ton of other people that are nurse majors, biology, pre-med majors. And so now my mind is like open to all these different things.
Right.
So I get on the computer and I'm like looking up careers. And so I'm very strategic in everything that I do. So I wanted a job that was going to put me in the medical field, that was going to give me the most money, but wasn't that strenuous. Like I was not willing to do surgery on anyone. That was too much. And so then I came across anesthesiology. I was like, oh, this is good. I get like all this money for like sticking people with a needle. Oh, sign me up. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
That is what I am doing. All right. And so I went through, I got my pre-med degree, and then I went off. And then once it was time for me to finish, I was like, yeah, I don't really. Once I got to, what's after chemistry?
Pain and suffering.
Pain and suffering.
Literally, pain and
It's so
suffering.
hard. Actually, I loved chemistry. So I loved all of them, but I don't know if it was advanced. I don't know exactly what class
It's
it
like
was.
Chem 1, Chem 2, organic
Chem 3,
chemistry.
organic
Yeah.
chemistry, this one, that. Yeah, I got there and I was like,
Absolutely not.
no,
Yeah, we
I
can't
don't
do
want to
it.
do, like, I didn't love it enough.
Yeah.
My thing is, I can suffer through anything. That is my superpower. I'm disciplined. That's why I get things done.
Yeah.
However, I didn't love it. Like, I was just like, I don't really, like, what are you doing? Like, girl, you want to do business. Like, and again, I am queen of pivot.
Yeah.
I do not care. I will pivot from one thing to another. And my parents have allowed me, right, that I guess have allowed me the privilege not to have to, I never was like, oh my God, I have to like figure this out because I need to like pay a bill or I need to like figure out my life. It was like, listen, what do I want to do? What feels right to me?
Yeah.
And so I switched over to accounting and here we are.
So we go from restaurant business to aspiring medical professional.
We went from restaurant business to real estate.
There you go.
I went to real estate. I love real estate. So I was not a normal child. When I
Okay.
was a child, my grandma would purchase me every single Sunday. I needed the newspaper. Go get my New York Times. Was it the New York Times or the Daily News? Can't remember. But it was the New York Times. You know the newspaper used to have all the circulars and all those things back in the day? I needed that.
Okay.
And I would pull out the real estate section every single Sunday. And I had to look at all of like the high rises and all of like the townhomes that were on sale. And it was crazy. Like it was before I even knew what the K meant at the back. I was like, what does that mean? Like I feel like as a young child, I knew what millions meant, right? Like I knew the M meant millions, but I did not know the K meant like thousands. And so I literally would look at the paper and I was fascinated with real estate. And so I always wanted to know two things when I was younger. I wanted to sell real estate. I wanted to invest in real estate. And then I also wanted to understand what was happening on Wall Street and what was happening behind the scenes.
As a kid?
As a kid.
Crazy.
And that's why I say, like, I feel like sometimes you just are who you are.
Right.
Like your child they are who they are.
Yeah.
And I just think that I always was like, oh my God, I'm going to live this fabulous life. And these are all the things that I'm going to do. I'm going to go on vacation and I'm going to live this way. I'm going to live in a high rise. So I knew since I was a little girl who I was going to be.
So we have all these pivots, right? From restaurant to real estate in the real estate space. Fun fact, some people don't know this. You actually also, I think, had a clothing company at one point in time too.
This guy is nuts.
So
I did.
a medical professional, and then from there you find yourself in the tax space. But even then, once you find yourself in the accounting space, you don't jump straight into Brooks Alliance. There's a period where you're actually working for another company. Talk a little bit about that time.
Yeah, so I spent 6.5 years at one of the top accounting firms. So if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to do it.
Right.
And so I spent 6.5 years at one of the top accounting firms, and I worked in mutual funds, which is the investment vehicle for 401ks, and it was boring to me. I was like, oh my God, this is so boring. And so then I switched. I went to real estate private equity, and I loved it because one, I love the structure of private equity, and then I also love real estate, and so it was perfect for me. So then, and then it came to a point when you are in public accounting, you typically stay there for about 2 years. I was there for 6.5 years because they used to allow me to take sabbaticals in the summer.
Okay.
Craft your life, okay? They used to allow me to. They used to allow me to take sabbaticals in the summer, some of which I took in order to pass the CPA. And then the others, I was just like, yeah, I'm going to work really hard. And then I'm going to take the summer off. I'll be back in October. I'll see you guys in October. So for me, that time there was just so pivotal to like who I am today and all that I've learned, because it really was the anchor for why I decided to start my business. And so that's why you'll never hear me say, oh, quit your job, don't work. No, work, work, go get your experience. And I also don't believe everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. That could be another conversation. But, so for me, that time it was amazing. I have no complaints.
So now, fast forward now, you after years of working at this firm, you now start your tax business, and fast forward several years later, when we talk about the tax preparation and the tax strategy space, your name is always at the top of the list in terms of the individuals that are discussed. And I think that's just more so just a testament to the work that you've done and the impact that you've had. In your near 2 decades of being in this space, from what you've seen, why is it so important for entrepreneurs and for business owners to understand the tax code?
Oh, it's very simple. It's either you understand it, you hire someone, and you need to make sure you hire someone that understands it, or you'll be 60-40 split partners with the IRS. It's that simple, to be very honest with you. If we're just, giving like a very plain example, but more so, I also feel like the tax code is a roadmap to wealth. And most people don't approach the tax code that way. Most people are approaching taxes where, again, you go through a phase, right? And there's nothing wrong with that phase. You go through a phase where you may be having W-2 income, and then you're more focused on, hey, getting a refund. Yeah. Refunds aren't good, by the way, right? That means that you're just giving the IRS a tax-free loan. We don't want to do that, right? However, then, you may say, you know what? I want a business. If you are really going to save on taxes, it's very simple. The tax code is meant for business owners and investors. Simple. And if you are going to save on taxes, you have to be on that side. So whether it's that hobby that you've had, you need to turn it into a business. That business that you've been saying you were going to start, you need to turn it into a business. And why? Because now you can utilize the tax code. But if not, you're literally just going to, you have your income, it's going to be taxed, right? And then you just have to pay your bills with what's left. So it's so important for entrepreneurs to understand the tax code, because if you're not careful, like living in New York, do you know how much taxes you'll pay if you have business income of $100,000? New York City. Where are you from? You're from Brooklyn?
I'm here, born and raised, Brooklyn.
Oh, me too. Yeah. Okay. All right, we're connected.
Yeah, there he goes. In terms of the New York State tax, I don't have
federal, state tax. How much do you think you'll pay on the federal side?
I don't know. I would say if I'm making $100,000 altogether, I know they're taking half, right? Or is it less or more than that?
It's about half.
Okay, there you
go. So, actually, it's about 40%, right?
Okay.
But I always tell people, if I asked you for 40% of your business, like, would you give it to me?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not, right? So literally, if you make $100,000, you're looking at about $29,000 in federal taxes and another $9,000 in between state and local taxes in New York, right? And so most people aren't thinking about that. It's your duty to think about it. You have to think about it. So being a business owner, when I first started, teaching about taxes, I used to pacify it like, no, you really need to focus on this. Now I'm like very straightforward. You need to focus on this, because if you don't, then you literally are not going to be able to get ahead. As I mentioned, the tax code is the way to wealth. Let's follow the cycle. If you are going to save on taxes, you have to do what?
I have to purchase things that are considered ordinary business expenses for my company.
Business or investor, right?
Yeah.
So you have to do that. What do you have to do in order to build wealth, in order to get rich? What do you need to do? You need to keep more of your money, right? So in order for you to keep more of your money, you need to get on the right side of the tax code.
Yes, ma'am.
So therefore, you need to become a business owner. Once you have those assets, once you have that revenue or that profit, what do? What do you start to do? Then you start to invest, whether that's stocks, whether that is real estate. Now what you can do is you can start generating that passive income. Right? That passive income that everybody doesn't think they have to be active for.
Right.
Another conversation.
Right.
But now you're able to take those assets, right? And now you're able to build. Now you're able to generate passive income. Now you're able to leave a legacy. Now you're able to generate wealth. Now you're able to do things and buy things without looking, right? At the price, because it's a cycle and it's all embedded in the tax code. I tell everyone, if you follow the tax code, you literally, that's your pathway to getting rich, your pathway to leaving a legacy. But I'm still on a mission to make sure everybody hears me.
And that's why I'm bringing you on here, so that we can keep pushing that mission forward. Can you think of what's the greatest example, whether it's from a client of yours or maybe someone who's a contemporary of yours, that you've seen leverage the tax code to, when we talk about using it to build wealth? One of the greatest examples that you could think of off the top of your head, whether it was a client that you had that used it in their business or for an investment that they made, whether it was to save a lot and completely write their taxes down for a crazy amount.
Yeah, I've had clients use various different strategies. So just to name a few, I've had EYL purchase a Sprinter, right, for their business. I've had other clients that are in real estate literally be able to, I've had clients that are in real estate. I can't give you all my clients. I have a lot of like influencer clients and celebrity
you can't
clients.
give names, I understand.
I'm not going to give names, right? But I have, and the only reason why I mentioned EYL because they did a post about it, right? So I've had clients literally have revenue coming in, and they were in the business of real estate, and they were literally able to take their real estate. We performed a cost segregation study, and basically that just allows us to dissect the property, take more of a depreciation expense, but they were literally able to write and wipe out $300,000 of income because they were able to utilize, listen, Marvin, I don't know who's doing your taxes, but you may want to come over to the money team, okay?
Soft plug. No, but, and this is the kind of conversation I want to have, because you are the queen of the tax code.
Yes.
And I want to be able to educate the viewers at home who are either established entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs on what is true and what isn't when it comes to taxes.
Okay.
I think this conversation is so important because we live in a day and age right now where there is a lot of misinformation that's being spread on the internet. When it comes to taxes, you have certain people that are saying, well, you can write this off, and other people coming back and doing reaction videos and say, well, no, you actually can't write that off. And it's just a lot of back and forth. So I want to get the real from you, right?
Let's go.
When it comes to understanding tax write-offs and tax deductions, how does that actually work? What is actually considered a tax deduction that can be applicable in business terms?
Absolutely. So first thing, base level, IRS section code 162. In order for it to be considered an expense or tax deduction, it has to be what's deemed as ordinary and necessary, meaning ordinarily in your industry or in your line of business, someone or you need to spend money on this, right? So ordinarily, you all are spending money on it. Necessary, meaning that it was necessary for you to spend money on this in order for you to make this sale, to generate this product, right? So that's why a lot of times people will say, okay, well, was that necessary, right? When you're dealing with an IRS auditor, that will be one of the questions. Was that necessary?
Yeah.
Like, was it necessary for you to I'll just use an example. Let's just say you make $100,000 in your business. Was it necessary for you to get a jet, right? You probably can't afford a jet with $100,000, but that is an example.
Right.
Yes, it is a strategy. Let's say the Grant, like that Grant Cardone can use, but he needs a jet, right?
Right.
He can justify why that's necessary.
Right.
You making $100,000 can't justify why a jet is necessary,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's like the base of, listen, that's the first thing that we need to do.
Hey, business owners, what if I told you that for just 90 cents a day, you could get access to $45,000 in business funding? I just launched my credit mastery community where inside you're going to be getting exclusive access to our in-depth training program worth tens of thousands of dollars that's going to teach you the exact strategies you need on how to restore your credit and on how to properly structure your business. You're also going to be getting access to a financial consultant with over a decade of experience in the funding space that's going to be working with you to reach your financial goals in half the time it would take if you were to do it on your own. And we're going to be providing you 2 coaching calls a week where we're going to teach you the exact banks that you need to go to get access to anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000 in business funding. This is the same community that helped Pat access $50,000 in funding from Chase, help Alvin get $8,000 in funding from Amex, help Matt boost his credit score by over 150 points, and help Donna delete a bankruptcy from her credit report. So if you're interested, click the link above or below the video to join now, and we'll see you on the other side of success. Let's go, family.
Let's talk about some of the most common tax write-off strategies that I've heard about, and you could tell me what's true and what's false.
Okay.
This is the first one is the most popular of them all. And this is actually one of the biggest topics I've seen you tackle, taking your car and putting it in your business name and then using that as pretty much as a write-off. I've heard that there are some changes around the approach to how that works, because I think at one point in time you could write off 100% of the vehicle. Now I'm hearing that's not really what it is anymore. Moreover, there's some other fine print I think that goes into that. How does that work?
Absolutely. So one myth to debunk: yes, you can write off your vehicle in your business. So there's a few different things. So just stay with me.
I'm with you.
Okay,
Let's
you
do
with
it.
me?
I'm with you.
All right. So if you are writing off your vehicle, one myth that we want to debunk is the IRS doesn't care who owns it. Your business does not have to own the vehicle in order for you to write it off. Okay, so that's the first thing. The IRS cares about your business use of the vehicle. So if you have a personal vehicle, then you can write it off if you are utilizing it for business. So let's just say you have a vehicle and you're utilizing it 50% for business, 50% for personal. Guess what you get to do? You get to write it off 50% of your lease payments, 50% of your fuel, 50% of your maintenance, repairs, right? All of those things you now get to write off, because they care about your business use. Now, you need to make sure you're tracking that through some sort of like mile app, right?
Yeah.
You need to track your miles to say, hey, these were business miles, these were personal miles,
yeah.
right? So that's that. Now, what you're referring to is a 6,000-pound rule, okay? And that's when you're financing a vehicle that weighs more than 6,000 pounds. So yes, I did do this video back in 2019 on EYL, and the internet took off with it. Yes, they took it and they ran with it. And yes, it's true. You can write off a vehicle that is 6,000 pounds or more. Now, let's talk about the changes that you are referring to.
Yep.
So when back in 2019, you were able to write off 100% of the value of the vehicle. But what happened is for the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, it was implemented September 27, 2017.
Okay.
And it basically, the last year you were able to take 100% was in 2022.
Yeah.
Right? So every single year after that, it decreases by 20% because it is due to phase out in 2027.
Hey.
Let's see what Trump does.
Yeah.
Right? Let's see what he does. However, it's due to phase out. So every single year after 2022, it has decreased by 20%. So now, hence in 2025, you only can take 40% of the value of the vehicle. So if you purchase a vehicle that's $100,000, you no longer can take that $100,000 tax deduction. You'll be able to take $40,000, and then you'll have to just depreciate it over the remaining life, which is an additional 4 years of the vehicle. Right. So that's how that works. I think that when it comes to vehicle and writing it off, I think that people they just see things and talk about it. They don't really know. Like, it's so crazy because I always say, when I got on social media to educate people back in 2017, no one was talking about taxes, which is why I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to talk about taxes because everybody's just talking about how to make money. Nobody's talking about how to keep it. And so now I just feel like everybody's a tax expert.
Yeah.
Like, and most people do not know what they're talking about. I'm like, oh my God.
Moreover,
Everybody.
from what I'm seeing, the epidemic now is the inverse is happening to where it's like you have people that are worried about write-offs that aren't making enough money in their business.
I always say that.
Yeah.
You do not have a tax problem unless you have a money problem.
Yeah.
Right? You cannot have a tax problem unless you have a money problem.
100%.
That's why I like people to have money problems.
And
like,
then after that,
money.
then you can focus on having the tax
but
problem.
then also people can leverage their business and build in their business to increase their refund. I do think there's there's a flow.
Okay.
Right? I think there's different stages, and at every stage you can benefit and utilize the tax code to benefit you.
Awesome. Piggybacking off of that, like you said, with all the different things that we see taking place on the social media sphere, another one that I hear floated around a lot are, well, you could catch a flight to Bali, catch a flight to Miami, catch a flight to Mexico, right? And you could write off the flight and everything that you do in between because I'm traveling for business. So what can and can't we do when it comes to that?
Yeah.
I see you taking a deep breath already. Let me sit up.
Yes, because you know what it is? You know, we talked about this actually before, and I just be so busy that I don't get a chance to comment on everything. I don't get a chance to comment on a lot of things.
This is the platform to do it.
But yeah, stop listening to these people. So, business travel has to do with your business use. Like, you have to have a business reason for being there.
Yep.
So you cannot just travel to Bali and say, hey, I'm going to travel to Bali. Oh my God, I need a peace of mind. New York is too much. I'm going to Bali, clear my head. I'm going to go there. I'm going to plan out my presentation. I'm going to answer emails because my emails are backed up. It doesn't work like that. You have to have a business reason for being there. So what's your reason for being in Bali? Are you there on a business retreat? Are you hosting a business retreat? Do you have a client in Bali? But like, for instance, I couldn't justify having a client in Bali because I don't do Indonesian taxes, right? So I don't do taxes in Indonesia. So I can't justify that. Most people will say, and let me speak directly to my people in real estate. You cannot go to a state, a country, and say, oh, I was looking for real estate. The IRS put a stop to that. You can write off your trip when you actually go to close on the property, but not when you are going to search for the property. So a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, I went to Jamaica. I'm going to just, put all these appointments on my calendar. The IRS say, yeah, you guys stop playing with us. No, you cannot do that. So that's a big thing. But if in fact, and I'll just give an example. For my community, we just came back from the Bahamas, which was amazing.
Right.
So we just came back from the Bahamas. And have you ever been to an event of mine?
I know of them. I don't think I've been to one yet. I know about Brunching with Miss Business and things of that sort, but I don't think I've been to one yet.
I just do such really, really good events.
Okay.
Right? All right. But anyway, so we just came back from the Bahamas. I planned a retreat in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
So all of and I'll take it from an attendee perspective. I won't take it from my perspective, right? Anyone who attended the retreat was able to write off their flight, their hotel, their meals, their transportation while they were there, right? Why? Because they were there for a business reason. They are part of a community. I had a business conference. They had a business reason for being there. So therefore, they can do what? They can utilize it as a tax deduction. Why? Because of part of the tax code, you get to write off your professional development, your business development. So it's a tax deduction. Simple. Not just randomly, oh, I'm going here. I'm going
going to the Virgin Islands, kick my feet up and chill. There has to be actual business.
Yes, there has to be a business reason for you to be there.
Another one that I've heard of, the clothing, writing off the clothing. So I'm going to go to the Louis Vuitton store. I'll buy 3 Louis shirts. I work at Brook Alliance. I'm going to go ahead and put a BA over the Louis Vuitton, and I'm going to write off this $500, $600 shirt. Is that how that tax code law works? Is that still something we can do?
The tax code.
I'm giving you all of them. I'm giving you every single one of them.
The tax code says that in order for you to write off clothing, in order for you to write off clothing, it has to have like your logo, right? Again, your business use for that clothing.
Yes, ma'am.
So you can't just say, hey, this black shirt, I'm going to write it off. To your example, and I always tell people, there's a difference between saying, oh, yeah, well, you can go and buy this Louis Vuitton shirt and then put your BA logo over it. But imagine sitting across from an IRS examiner and telling them that, and I always tell people that, close your eyes. Imagine you are sitting across from an IRS examiner and you are trying to justify and tell them that you need, you see how you're laughing? Because
laughing.
it's stupid.
Yeah, you're going to jail.
It's stupid.
You're going to prison,
It doesn't
buddy.
make sense, right? So you're saying, hey, I'm going to buy a Louis Vuitton shirt and I'm going to then put my logo on it. There's so many reasons why that can be disallowed as an expense.
Yeah.
One, it's a whole nother brand. You're paying a premium for this brand and you're slapping your logo on it. Even if you're saying, hey, I want a quality shirt, you can purchase a quality shirt.
Yeah.
Right? But saying that it's a Louis Vuitton shirt and then you're going to slap a logo on top of a logo, again, just think about how that sounds.
You look crazy.
No, you look crazy, right? You look crazy. So what I would suggest, even if you wanted a quality shirt and the shirt was $200, that's fine. They can't tell you, hey, no, you can't have a $200 shirt. But then when they see that $900 Louis Vuitton shirt, it's like, was it necessary? Was it necessary? So no, it's just,
now that I have the visual in my head, I can't stop laughing because I just imagine an IRS agent.
Agent sitting across from you and they're like,
I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna let you get off what you think is working because you look dumb right now.
You look so dumb.
That is so funny, dog. Okay.
I always say that. Close your eyes. IRS agent right across from you. Explain it to them.
And that's okay, but now that's the rule of thumb for pretty much any write-off, more or less. Well, not any write-off per se.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain strategies and different like professionals. Like as you start to advance, there are different strategies that will include different. You think that's so funny?
It's so hilarious, bro. I'm sorry. I'm taking this to the bank. But go ahead.
But there are different strategies. Like let's just say hypothetically, when you are considering, write-offs, you may be thinking retirement accounts. Sometimes we do have to implement and bring in different professionals like actuaries or just different financial advisors in order to implement certain, whether it's your 401k or whether it's your IRA, your solo 401k, when you really start like getting in, you need to start doing profit sharing. There's so many different aspects and layers to it. And I like to give people context. The tax code is made up of 77,000 pages. 1% is telling us how to pay taxes and the other 99% is saying, hey, if you do not want to pay taxes or you want to take advantage of the strategy, these are all the things that you need to do, right? So we just have to think about it like that. So yes, the normal everyday operational expenses, safe to say, we're thinking ordinary, we're thinking necessary. But there are, various different tax strategies that, it takes, a lot more thought.
Another strategy I've heard talked about for the business owners that are parents, the thing of I'm going to hire my kid to work in my business and then I'm going to pay them X amount. And I think it's either they pay them the X amount and that X is tax free or that it is like a write-off against the business. How does that work?
I actually love this tax deduction for parents. And again, follow me. This tax deduction allows me to have parents think beyond just a tax deduction.
Okay.
And I call it like the trifecta tax deduction. So in 2025, you can pay your child up to $15,000 a year. That is a tax deduction to your business. You want to make sure, guys, you want to make sure they're appropriate age for the job. You want to determine an actual role for them in the business, as well as a reasonable pay rate. Your child is cute, but no, they do not deserve $300 an hour for doing administrative work, right? So you want to make sure all of those things are in order, right? So you're paying your child the $15,000 throughout the year. It's a tax deduction to the business. When it goes to the child, it is not taxable, okay? So now that $15,000 is not taxable. what I always tell people, what you can do anything that you want with that money for the child besides tell them, hey, I paid you, now you owe me rent money and pay for your food. You cannot do that. Now, when it comes to that money that the child receives, I always encourage parents to take it a step further and take that money and then build out their Roth IRA. So now you get to not only have the tax deduction, taxable income, but now you're taking a portion of that tax-free income and you're now creating a Roth IRA, which is a tax-free retirement account. So literally, if you were to, and this is why people don't understand, when you take advantage of the tax code, we need to do two things. Take advantage of the tax code and take advantage of compound interest. Okay? So now it's a situation where if you take $7,000 from the time the child is seven years old, and you say, you know what, I'm going to pay into it until the child is like 25, and I'm going to pass it on to them. And then because you taught them really, really good financial literacy, they are then going to carry that on. By the time that child is 65, if they continue to contribute, you and that child collectively would have contributed $406,000 to that retirement account. Guess what the value would be by the time they're 65?
What's the rate on a retirement account?
It's pretty standard, right? A retirement account is vested in the market, so like 7-8%.
I don't have a calculator. I'm gonna do a rough guess. Let's say I'm assuming it's.
You put in $400,000.
Yeah. I'm not good with math. I'm gonna just throw a number out there. Let's say I'm gonna just say 1.1.
5.3 million.
5.8.
5.3 million.
Okay. Interesting.
5.3 million.
Okay.
And so when I'm talking to people about the tax code and how it really can be a pathway and a gateway to that legacy that everyone wants to leave and that impact and that better life and better future for your child, what better way to do that than start by paying your child, right? Look at me. I turned out pretty good. I started working at 6.
Okay, this is very educational for me because, like you said, even for me, like there's certain things that I'm learning as we're navigating this. I'm like, okay, didn't know that. This provides a lot more clarity here. This is good. You said something earlier when we were talking about the writing off of the car, where you talked about, let's see what happens now that Trump is in office. One of the things I'm learning now is that politics and just administration does play a very big role into what policies do get passed.
Absolutely.
And right now, at the time of the recording of this episode, we are currently under the Trump administration. Are there any policy changes that are coming or anything in the pipeline that entrepreneurs should be wary of that we could use to our advantage when it comes to preparing ourselves and just leveraging tax code?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
I'm going to be very honest because he's talked about what he's going to do.
Okay.
But he hasn't changed anything.
Okay.
Which is very different than when he came in before. He was in there and within 21 days, he changed the tax code.
Okay.
Right? This time, he's made a lot of promises.
Okay.
Really, I feel like Trump made more promises to individuals that literally his last plan that he published, he was like, no tax on tips, no tax. It's not in there.
Gotcha.
It's not in there. Right. So that's not there. I think in terms of business owners, there isn't much. He's considering dropping the corporate code from 21% to 20%. But honestly, no real big changes right now, but I'll be on the lookout for that.
I've heard two things. One, that he's trying to abolish the IRS and like create an external revenue service. And then secondly, he's trying to get rid of just, I think, income tax as a whole.
I don't think that's what he says, but then he has a tax plan that he just released.
I'm sure that that's not something that could happen in 4 years. But do you have any insight on that? Is that something that, like, as a whether I'm a business owner or whoever, I can keep my fingers crossed, or is it more kind of just
you know what I do want to say about that?
Let's talk about it.
File your taxes. I had someone ask me the other day, do you think that I should wait to see if Trump gets rid of the IRS before I file my taxes? File your taxes. It doesn't matter if he abolishes it in 25. They would still want their 2024 money.
Yeah.
File your taxes. I don't know. So I feel that most people think that abolishing the IRS is the best thing, and I disagree. One, I won't have a job. Don't worry, I'll pivot. I'm pivoting into real estate, so don't even worry. You guys have a few more years with me.
I love it.
But here's why I don't think his plan is a good plan.
Okay.
One, because his plan is to just get money through tariffs, which does what? Who pays the tariffs? We pay the tariffs. Nobody else is paying the tariffs. No one from overseas is going to say, hey, I'm going to absorb the cost. No, they're going to tack it on. And that additional 20% or whatever it is that he wants to charge, it's just going to increase. That's something you can't change.
Got it.
With the IRS, you have the ability to change it. It's just whether you choose to change it or not, you know? So I feel like I like to be, and I'll explain it in the sense of where you fall in terms of how you receive your income. If you're an employee, you have very little flexibility. Your income is your income. You don't have much flexibility, and therefore your tax rate is your tax rate. When you are, you start going into entrepreneurship.
Yep.
Now your tax rate is still the tax rate, right? Your tax rate goes from 10% to 37%, whether you are a business owner or whether you are an employee. But guess what you have when you are a business owner? More flexibility.
Yeah.
You can implement more things. And I want to always be able to be in control of that. I don't want someone to say, hey, well, yeah, you don't have income taxes that really you could lower if you really wanted to. But hey, I'm going to increase everything else by 30%.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything else is going to go up by 30%. And so I think when people hear the taxes, people are fearful of the IRS anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So they're already like, oh my God, I don't want to do this, but everything is going to go up. Right. And so, I don't think that it's as great as everyone thinks that it is. I don't know. We'll see. Do I think that he's going to abolish the IRS? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think he may raise tariffs and keep the IRS. And now we're really going to be screwed.
Well, time will tell, and we'll see.
He's only been in office for we're like a month in.
Month and some change, probably 2 months, give or take, yeah.
No, he came in January. It's only February 20th.
There you go. About a month and some change, yeah.
It's been a long time. It feels like a long time.
We got about 4 years.
It feels long. So I don't know what he's going to do. But I feel like Trump is usually very, very active within his first
couple
days. And then after that things calm down. So I'm hoping for a calm because it's just thing after thing after thing every day.
We'll see.
I don't know. We will see.
So we've spent a lot of time up until this point talking a lot about tax strategy around entrepreneur. But like you said, there's two sides to the coin. We have our entrepreneurs. I want to speak now more so to the investors, more specifically a field that I know you fancy, real estate investors. There are, from what I've understand, I'm not a real estate investor, but from the outside looking in, a lot of tax strategy that can be leveraged in the space of real estate. If I'm an aspiring investor looking to buy my first property, or even an established investor and I have a portfolio, what are some of those different strategies I could start looking into to use my assets to help decrease my taxable liability?
Absolutely. The best thing, I love real estate. I love everything about real estate.
Why?
I just think it's so beautiful. Like for me, I'm going to just have houses everywhere. Like I just love real estate so much.
Okay.
So I just think homes are just so beautiful. Just the craftsmanship. I love everything about it.
Okay.
But more importantly, on the tax side, most people talk about how real estate made so many millionaires, right? Like first generation millionaires. And I think it's always a conversation of appreciation or cash flow.
Yep.
But it's never a conversation of saying, hey, well, a part of that is the fact that there's so many tax strategies that you can implement, right? There's so many tax strategies. One, when we're thinking about real estate from an investment perspective, you not only have the business side, you also have the asset. So when you have in taxes, when you have an asset, what happens is that you get to, is my favorite tax deduction, depreciation.
Okay.
Right? So depreciation, all that is your process of accounting for the asset value over time. Right? That's pretty much all depreciation is. So what happens when you're investing in real estate, you get to take the deductions, those ordinary and necessary expenses. So your operational expenses every single day that you're incurring. So whether that is your utilities, your property taxes, your realtor fees, if your closing costs, all of those things are a tax deduction. but then you also have that asset, right, that you are also able to account for the write off the value, right? Gives you a greater expense. And so what does that do in turn? Again, the process. It allows you to keep more money so you can then do what? Take that money and reinvest it into more properties. Let's say if you're going to sell a property, if you go to sell your property, you have one, let's say you sell your property and you don't take advantage of any sort of tax deductions. No tax strategies. The highest tax rate that you would pay is 20%. I just told you before, if you're a business owner, a W-2 employee, your highest tax rate is 37. So right there, you're already positioned you're already in a much better position. And then there are tax strategies like 1031 exchange that says, listen, if I'm going to purchase a property, instead of me taking the money and doing whatever I want with it, let me take this and reinvest this money. If I reinvest it, then guess what? It's not saying I don't have to pay taxes at all, but I don't have to pay taxes right now. And most people will say, and basically you get to defer paying taxes, but you have to just purchase a property of equal or greater value. So let's say you sell your property for $500,000. You say, you know what? I don't want to pay the taxes on it. I want to take my money. I don't want to be 30%. I don't want to be 20% down. Well, that's just federal, right? And state in New York. I don't want to be 30% down, right? I want to be able to take my money and I want to go and invest and buy more property. Cool, no problem. You can do that. You can defer paying taxes on your property. You can do that by doing 1031 exchange. So you'll purchase a property worth $500,000 or more, and then you can keep doing that. You can keep doing it. And so the name of the game outside of making money is keeping your money. I'm going to say that again. The name of the game is not only making money, but it is keeping your money. Too many people aren't focused on the fact that they need to keep their money.
So that's the depreciation part. One of the things you mentioned earlier, you said something, I think it's cost
segregation.
How does that fit in that bucket?
Yeah. So cost segregation is pretty much just an advanced, how can I say this?
Take your time.
So cost segregation is more so an advanced strategy to depreciation. So basically what happens is the IRS says, hey, you have a building. You purchase property, you have a building. A building can be written off over 27 and a half years. The IRS determines the numbers. You don't get to. So they say, you know what? 27 and a half years, that's how long you can write it off. You can write your property off over. So every single year for 27 and a half years, you get to take, whatever that depreciation expense is. When you are doing cost segregation, you're looking at your property and you're like, wait, my property is made up of more than just a building. Why do I have to just divide it over 27 and a half years? I have different aspects and components of this property. I have my land improvements. I have the personal property that's in here. Why can't I dissect my property? Because land improvements or personal property, those may have 15 years, 7 years, 5 years. So what happens as the numbers get lower? I get to take a higher depreciation expense, right? Because instead of me dividing something by 27 and a half years, I get to divide it by 5 years, right? So that means that I would have a higher expense. So what happens is, in most cases, what will happen is that now you get to say, all right, well, I'm going to take this property and I'm going to dissect this property and I'm going to increase my depreciation expense. So I had a client, and I always use this when I teach. I had a client purchase a property. All they did was real estate, purchase a property, $500,000. If she would have just taken the depreciation expense, normal, over 27 and a half years at the deducting land and all that, it would have been like $13,000, like $13,500, right? Doing cost segregation took her depreciation expense up to $76,000. So that's just giving you context, because guess what? The property, when you get to, if you get to write it off over a shorter period of time, that means you have a greater depreciation expense. So those are the strategies that can be used. So therefore, now you can start saying, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to purchase real estate, or I'm going to get into real estate because I want to be able to utilize these type of strategies. Marvin, I know. See, this is why. Marvin's like, why don't you have a YouTube channel? Don't worry, coming soon. But I have a lot to say.
So like if I had to like simplify it, so it's like with depreciation, we buy the property, and with you called it the 1031 exchange. Let's say you buy the property for, let's use a whole number of $1 million. We buy the property for $1 million. That $1 million, the taxes we would have paid on the $1 million, or no, on something, a tax bill we would have had elsewhere, the payment we made on that property pushes.
No, so you're thinking about the taxes due. Depreciation is an expense, just like advertising, just like supplies. It's an expense that you get to take every year.
Got it.
So don't combine 1031 and depreciation.
Okay, got it.
Depreciation is more of your expense that you're able to deduct while you have the asset every single year.
Got you. So depreciation is its own thing. And then here comes in like a thief in the night, cost segregation is like, yo, let me double down on that. We not just only taking against just the property itself. There's other parts that make up the property. We're going to break this thing down to add even more in terms of what we're able to deduct on top of that.
Yes. Yeah. You get to do these things, guys. But you have to be working with a tax strategist. You have to work with a tax strategist because if you just go to someone that just prepares taxes, they're not going to be able to they're not going to be able to assist you.
Right.
Like a cost segregation study is like an entire report. It is an analysis, right? That my firm, we have to do. It's not just saying, oh yeah, I'm going to it's just a number. No, it's an analysis that has to be done.
And now I've heard you actually talk about that too, and we could touch on that. The difference between, because a lot of entrepreneurs have tax preparers, very few have tax strategists. One of these things is not like the other.
No.
What's the difference?
A tax preparer is someone that's available January through April. They are going to take your tax documents. They're not going to provide you any real insight or strategy, right? We know. Here, give me your doc,
At like an H&R block or like got it.
I'm just saying that, you could have a situation where people are coming and they say, hey, give me your documents. This is how much you owe. This is how much you're going to get back.
Yeah.
That's it, right? You can't find them. God forbid you're trying to buy a house and you can't find your taxes, or you need somebody to sign like a letter, just to help you out, right? Because it is needed. That tax preparer is not going to be available or provide you any insight or be able to help you. A tax strategist, I'm a tax strategist. I am going to analyze for you to implement specific deductions and tax credits throughout the year in order to help reduce your tax liability. So that could consist of deductions, credits, time and differences. So like as an example, it could be a situation. I've needed to like pay consultants and I'm like, can you send me that bill before December 31st? I need it. And why? Because I need to account for that money in, let's say, 2024.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay you in 2025. I need that expense now.
Yep.
Right. And so those are that's the approach. So when let's say in my firm, right, when we're filing taxes with clients, our entire things, a few things I want to make sure is done. Obviously, taxes are filed accurately. 2, we want to make sure that you understand it. Right. And we also want to make sure that we're able to provide you with insight for next year. Like, what does that look like? You should know why you owe. If you don't know why you owe, or you don't know why you're getting a refund, you shouldn't be filing taxes. You know how many people, taxes, they're like, talk to me about tax. They're like, I don't know. Or I asked them and they just told me no.
Got to get you a new tax person.
You better make them explain. Explain to me. Why do I have a refund? Why do I owe? And if they can't tell you why you owe, if they can't tell you why you can't take a tax deduction, or they can't tell you strategies or things that you can implement to help what you have going on, then they're not for you. And that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes people call me and they're like, can you call my old tax preparer and tell them that I can't work with them anymore? I'm like, I would love to, but I cannot do that.
Yeah, I don't think that's how that works. Okay. So So much here. There's so much here. Okay.
38%. That's the amount of entrepreneurs that are struggling to get their business funded because their personal credit isn't where it needs to be. Now, you can look into alternatives like corporate credit cards and vendor accounts, but the truth is the easiest way to get access to 5 to 6 figures in funding is to have good personal credit. As an entrepreneur, the stress of trying to build a successful business is already enough as is. So why work harder than you need to when you can simplify the funding process by getting your credit restored? My company, Takeoff Financial, has served hundreds of entrepreneurs just like you by helping them avoid the pain of getting denied for business funding by restoring their personal credit, and we want you to be the next one. So click the link above or below this video to secure your free consultation, and let's put you in position to get you funding that your business needs.
There's one more strategy that I wanted to touch on because it applies to me, and I think it applies to a lot of other business owners that you probably even other individuals you work with. I think it's called the Augusta rule.
I love the Augusta rule.
And I think it applies more so. Well, I'll let you break it down. What is the Augusta rule and how does it work?
So the Augusta rule states that you can rent out your home to your business 14 days out of the year tax-free.
Okay.
Okay, so I use my home all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, I was filming my course,
Mm-hmm.
and I filmed my course in my home, and I could have rented out a space and paid for that space, but no, I'm going to utilize the Augusta rule. So I looked up a space that could accommodate my crew and be aesthetically pleasing, and so it was about $2,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because we were literally there from the morning to the night.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, I used that and I'd get a $28,000 deduction every single year. Only thing you have to do is you need a comp, right? Because it's all about the IRS. You've proven to the IRS that, listen, I'm not wilding out. I'm not going crazy. This is the comp. This is justifiable. This is reasonable.
Yep.
Right? This is, so you literally will say, okay, this is my comp. You'll transfer the money from your business account over to your personal account. And then most people are like, okay, well, the money went over to your personal account. So it's now, now it's taxable income. No. Do you have to claim the income? Yes, but it's not taxable because, as I said, with the Augusta rule, you can rent out your home 14 days tax-free. So therefore, does it have to be claimed? Yes. But is it taxable? No. Right? So I love the Augusta rule because a deduction means that you spent money. The money went out the door. Mm-hmm. But with the Augusta rule, you just shift the money from your business to your personal. That's amazing, right? It really is a gain. It's like net effect. You may want to do your next episode in your house.
Hey, listen, Josh, I'm getting you for a house call. You understand? No, okay. No, but this is once again even insightful for me because I think I've done a very good job up until this point of staying on top of my taxes. But even still, there's certain things you said like I gotta go back and speak to my person because I gotta get a deeper breakdown on this and this and that and that. This is a very powerful conversation. I'm very very appreciative of it, and to kind of dive a bit deeper. This all stems from just your years of being in this space and the expertise you've had, like I said earlier, nearly 2 decades of being in this space and beyond. I think when a lot of people see you, they see the crazy boots at InvestFest. They see the success of Brooks Alliance and beyond. But you kind of just touched on it. Like this sport, this space of entrepreneurship, it's not an easy one. It's a very, very difficult one. I'm curious to know, in your individual entrepreneurial journey, what is the side of business that doesn't make it to social media that most people don't see that you're dealing with like now?
The sides that don't make it to social media, literally everything. I don't. Unfortunately,
We was actually joking about this before. She don't post. She don't post nothing.
Unfortunately, I do a very bad job at sharing my day to day. And you know why? Because most people won't believe it, but I'm really a background person.
Okay.
So if I had to describe myself, I'm more like a Kris Jenner.
Okay.
I'm like Kris Jenner. I want to be in the background. I want to be like orchestrating the plays. It just so happened that I'm in the front.
Yeah.
I'm here. I wear the hat well, but I would like to be in the back. I thrive there. I like getting things done. So my day-to-day that people don't see is just dealing with employees, dealing with my processes, my operations of my business, consistently feeling like I'm failing, right? Most people don't think like, I'm every single day, I'm just like, oh my God, I could be doing more. Right? Like you were like, why are you not on YouTube? And I'm like, he didn't even say, he's like, let me ask you a question. I'm like, why are you not? I said, what, on YouTube?
Yeah.
And don't worry, guys, I'm coming on YouTube. Don't worry, I'm coming. But it's a lot. And I like to do everything. And it's so crazy because I always walk in my rooms when I'm like not walk in my rooms, but when I'm doing like Zoom calls, I'll always say, who's seen me speak before? Who hasn't seen me speak before? Whoever has, let them know about me. I only get to do that because I'm solid. I only get to do that because I'm solid. I am going to go above and beyond to make sure that everyone is good. Okay. And so I think that when you have to run your business, which thankfully, my tax and accounting company, I have been able to take a step back. I do not have to, I may go there 10 times a year, right? I don't have to go there as much. However, there are still things to do. I am fully in my CEO role. But what does that mean to be fully in your CEO role? My job every day is to make sure that my company thrives. So whether that is me being on a podcast with you or creating partnerships or just thinking next level and collaborating and doing what I need to do for that business, those things consume me. And so a lot of times, as I mentioned, I have a lot of influencer clients. I have a lot of celebrity clients. I have a lot of executive clients. So a lot of times I may be meeting with them and, I don't post it. Or, I'm trying to figure out and make sure and perfect my back end. Or like I said, I just may be like, oh my God, like for instance, I walked in here, I didn't take one video, I didn't take one picture, I didn't let anybody know I was here. And it's just how it goes. Right? It's just on a day-to-day because I'm like, oh, let me do this. I'm more concerned with showing up. So while I may not be everywhere, I feel like the people that feel me, because they're like, she's solid. They know it's not a thing I say that I'm going to do that I'm not going to do, So I think for me, it really is just like every day just feeling like, wow, you could be doing more. Wow, most people are looking at me like, wow, you're doing so much. But yeah, I think those are the things that don't make it to social media, me consistently fighting just to make sure that I'm able to serve and able to make sure that people are good. That's really important to me. I really feel like the only reason why I'm blessed is because I really feel like I'm blessed because I'm a blessing. So every day when I wake up, it's in me to just make sure that everyone is good. Like I know that I'm blessed because of who I am. Most people aren't going to go to the lengths that I'm going to go to make sure that people are good, And so I wear it and I get it done. But getting it done may mean me not letting everybody know that I'm getting it done. But,
At this point, with everything that you've accomplished, and I'll ask this in closing, what would you say is your North Star? Like you've already, even though you feel like you may have not done a lot, you have done quite a bit in this space. So what do the next 5, 10, 15 years look like? What are you chasing at this point?
Oh, right now, for me, it just looks like building Brooks Alliance, building it to a point where it is big enough to sell. My goal is to sell Brooks Alliance, and to just live my life and just be a wife and a mom.
Okay.
And that is my goal while investing in real estate. But having a property manager because I am not.
You're not putting boots to ground?
Never again.
You're not going in them shells?
I have Brooks Alliance and I have Miss Business Inc. And those are my babies. And I will buy a business. I will buy businesses. I will invest in real estate. But I'm just looking to just live my life. I just want to be a friend, a family member, a good person in society. I do not aspire to just be in business my entire life. I just don't. I just want to enjoy my life. Like if people follow me, they'll see like I want to go on tour with Beyonce. Like Beyonce's going on tour. I'm going to Paris. I'm going to New York. I'm going to Houston. I'm going to Atlanta. Listen, I'm going on tour with Beyonce. It's just not enough room for me to do everything, So I just want to build something great enough that it can allow me and afford me an amazing lifestyle. Like I always tell people, like, I don't want to be a billionaire. I don't want to be a billionaire. Most people make it sound, oh my God, I want to be a billionaire. I don't want to be a billionaire. I feel like every level comes with different stress.
Yep.
And yeah, I just want to live. The next 5 years, I'm still here. The next 10 years,
We'll see.
I'm exiting.
Okay.
The next 15 years, come meet me on an island. We could come chat it up on the beach. So that is what my
North Star.
My North Star looks like.
Listen, on that note, I've never heard the first time someone's ever come on this podcast and say, I want to tour Beyonce history, ladies and gentlemen.
Because, first of all, I am the president of the Beehive.
I know.
Do you know that I was in her trailer? She put me in her trailer to her movie.
I saw.
So then this should be no surprise.
I saw.
How am I going to make it to the next trailer if I don't show up? Okay? Last time I went to London, I went to New York. I'm very serious. How am I going to... No. I love Beyonce. I love you. But you know why I love Beyonce?
She's a friend of the podcast. I hope she is, at least.
Beyonce, I love you. But you know why I love Beyonce? Most people love Beyonce. Oh my God. I love Beyonce because I understand how difficult it is to remain on top consistently, project after project, thing after thing. And I just respect her as a businesswoman. And so I love that. And like, when I look at Beyonce, I'm like, girl, you just operating in excellence. She operates in excellence in everything that she does. And I love that. And I respect that. And that's why I'm the president of the Beehive. And I will be touring with her. First stop for me is going to be Paris. It's going to be amazing. And then we'll,
take it from there.
We'll take it from there. Oh, no, sorry. First up is New York. Then Paris. Then maybe Houston. Then maybe Atlanta. Because there's like one right a week before my birthday. Perfect. So, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, Miss Business, this has been a fun conversation, an educational conversation, an inspiring conversation.
Thank you.
And a much needed conversation. I've been trying to make this happen for the people watching for a couple of years now. We finally made it happen.
Yes.
And thank you so much for coming on here and providing value. For those who don't know your camera here, let them know where they can find you. Also let them know what you have going on.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you for having me.
Of course.
So if you please follow me, Miss Business 101 on Instagram, on TikTok. Subscribe to my YouTube channel because by the time you see this, I will be on YouTube. And if I'm not, still subscribe because it's coming in a few weeks, okay?
Come on.
In terms of things I have going, if you are looking for an accounting firm that is going to strategize with you and really help you save on taxes, Brooks Alliance, so you can go, link in my bio, you can go to www.brooksalliance.com and just schedule that free consultation to sign up. And outside of that, I just happen to me, just follow me. We have fun there. Like we do. I also did a Beyonce movie premiere, by the way, for the movie here in New York. I'll invite you next time. It was so fun.
I'm pulling up.
It was so fun. But yeah, I have fun. I do movie nights. I like to just have fun with it. So follow me.
There you go. And ladies and gentlemen, on that note, if you haven't already, what are you doing? Make sure you follow Miss Business. But right after you do that, make sure you take a second, take a minute, take an hour out of your day right here, right now to go ahead, slap the like button, tell a friend to come back, rewatch the episode again. As always, my name is Marvin Francois. That's Miss Business. You guys have been good. We've been great. This has been amazing. Thank you and God bless. Peace, family.